Welcome to Board Ghost, a story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, or has it been forever? 'Cause dying don't agree with me, no. Dying don't agree with me, no. All you board ghosts, come with me, we're going home.
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experiences. We can't see you, can't hear you, yet we will play for you. This night's offering is Star Wars
We're back.
Age of Rebellion.
We're back.
From Fantasy Flight.
Yeah.
We are continuing our previous campaign. I guess we can now
Yeah,
call it a campaign.
We can call it a
since
campaign
there
at this
are-
point.
there-
Though I asked you guys to make up a name for your team, and you totally
I'm
all
sorry.
shat on me, and no one responded. But that's okay.
true.
I'm not hurt by it at all.
Had it been
and
one
that's
more
fine.
week, I
That's
totally
fine.
would come up with
well,
great
you know
names,
what?
but I just been
you know
working
what?
too hard.
Well, let's just all keep that in mind. Maybe we can come up with a name for the team by the end of tonight.
We'll have to see if
Look
we're a
forward.
team by the end of the night.
By the end of this, by the end of the game, of the end of the two sessions, we'll see what happens. I am hopeful though.
I did a very brief rules primer. There's a basic set that lays it out pretty well, and there's a bunch of different game books. So you can check out a rules primer, but really it's just going to point you to learn more than the basic sets.
That's
And there's
right.
Plenty of reviews for this game and plenty of other playthroughs if you want a little more rules-heavy explanation.
So I'm very happy to introduce my good buddy, John Holt.
Hey, everybody.
Love
I'm
that
John
guy.
Holtz. Our other players, we've got...
Ken Breeze, that's me.
Stephen Moverly.
And Stacey Douglas Moverly.
All right.
Welcome back.
So,
Thank you very much.
Always good to be here.
Ken, why don't you run us through briefly what happened in our previous adventure?
Exactly, Board Ghosts. The last time we played Fantasy Flight Star Wars, which is definitely a dice game and definitely a DM game, which we normally don't play, but now we are because we're switching it up on you and we want to entertain you. But last time, we were on a snowy world, and we had our Rebel Strike Force special ops team of an engineer, a pilot, and a soldier. They had been stationed on this snowy planet, basically being waited to be activated. They were sort of a sleeper cell, if you will. They were activated when a number of Rebel ships, or really actually one Rebel ship, crashed on the city that they were in, and all hell broke loose as the team tried to rescue the Rebel pilot and gunner. They were successful in that endeavor, escaping the planet just as Darth Vader arrived with Imperial reinforcements to catch the rebels. And you were whisked away to the Corva sector, which is where you have been recuperating for the past few days. But I think we should meet our rebels, right?
Yeah. Also note that we let somebody die, which is fine.
They were already dead. Weren't
Pretty
they?
much.
Weren't they?
I mean, as good as.
Weren't they already dead?
I mean,
there were some things that went wrong.
The fact that we saved them, one of them, means that we pretty much brought someone back from the dead.
Yeah.
that makes sense to me.
We're miracle
Plus, we
workers.
saved a robot.
There was a robot in there as well. There was a lot of adventures.
saved
You
a
know,
droid.
Board Ghost, you should really check out that first episode because it was a hoot. And it was actually pretty quick, too. We didn't even do 2 sessions.
Yep, it was a
Yeah,
one
we did one
game
shot, one and done.
adventure.
So go check that out now if you haven't already, and then come back and listen to this one because we're about to get in deep. Listen to your own Star Wars news
Steve,
at home.
who is your character?
My character is Tendar, who is a Mon Calamari engineer. He's a little unorthodox, a little recluse, a little outside the box,
Little fish out of water.
little fish out of water.
He's
Big
also
fish,
the
yeah.
only non-human member of the team.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough. Yeah. Love that Tendar.
Yeah. So what's Tendar's deal? Anything?
He was a student for a while, and then the Empire came along and enslaved his homeworld, where he was then forced into labor. Once his home planet of Dak was finally freed, he decided that, having built up a grudge against the Empire, he decided to go work for the Rebel Alliance.
Stacey, what about you? Who are you portraying?
My character is Zal Artha. She is a human pilot. She had always wanted to be a pilot, so she went through the academy for the Empire, and even though she had a lot of people against her and she had a lot of adversity because she came from a rebel-loving planet, she still did very well within. But then she kept finding herself not getting promoted. So she found out later it's because they suspected her of being a rebel. She said, well, fine, if you think I'm a rebel, I'll just go join the rebels.
John, after you tell us about your character.
So my character is KL. He's a pacifist. He's from
Really?
And how?
Yeah, he's an
how?
Alderanian.
Mm-hmm.
He's a son of Alderaan.
Mm-hmm.
He was a soldier. He's now a soldier. He was a sportsman,
Mm-hmm.
a player of space sports,
Mm-hmm.
and his
Spaceball.
team was off on an away game when his planet got death started.
Yeah.
A member of the Space Water Polo League.
Yes, right. He's not happy about his whole family and country and city and planet being destroyed.
Yep.
So he cast his lot with the other people who seem to be the enemy of his enemy is his friend. So KL is going after the Imperials.
There it is.
And he's using all of his charms and all of his sideways dealings to wheedle his way through and just strike at them diplomatically.
With bullets?
With bullets and frag grenades.
Perfect. Indeed, this is a crack team of rebels. You guys have been resting for a little while, but yeah, I think we're ready to get into it. I love it. Here we go.
All right. So I'm going to cue some crawl music, and what I'll do is for you board ghosts, after the sort of interlude music plays, go ahead and hit play on whatever Star Warsy music you want. We're going to start with the main title, Rebel Blockade Run from A New Hope.
It is a time of civil war throughout the galaxy. The rebels are outmanned and outgunned. But as they fight the Galactic Empire, they've scored their first victory, destroying the Death Star. Despite a recent upheaval, though, the Galactic Civil War dominates. The Rebel Alliance has discovered a plan by the Imperial Navy to test a new prototype starship, one that could decimate the Rebel fleet. Unable to allow the weapon to remain in the hands of the Empire, the Alliance deploys a team of operatives in an attempt to capture the prototype before it can be used against them. Your group is on a transport. You know you're being transported to the secretive Whisper base, which you're not exactly sure where it is specifically, but you know it is in the Corva sector, specifically the Corva system, which the sector is named after. You guys are flying sort of as hyperspace ends for you, the streaks of the stars coming to a close as they become still all around you. You see a world below you. Dusty world. It's brown. You don't see any water really or large bodies or greenery anywhere as you're flying in. Getting closer and closer to the surface as you're entering the upper atmosphere, you can see that mesas dominate the terrain, canyons, plateaus, and you're flying in a small rebel transport towards the surface. As you are getting closer and closer, you can see that one of the mesas seems to be your target. Getting within maybe about 1,000 yards from it, you can see surreptitiously blast doors that were colored the same color as the mesa opening up to reveal a hangar bay, a secret hangar bay, as you glide in. A landing, compressed air being let off all around you as the landing gear engages and the landing ramp chink hits the metal floor of a very busy hangar bay here at Whisper Bay. As you guys are disembarking, your senses are assailed by the typical conditions of said hangar bay. There are workers and droids scurrying in every direction. There's another light freighter and 4 X-Wings here. You see a woman who seems to be dressed in getup of a lieutenant. She has blonde hair that's sort of put up in a bun on her head. She looks very frazzled, but also her eyes are very intense. As she comes to you, she seems to be holding a data pad, and as you step down, she looks at you and says, "Everyone here."
Yes?
Very good. I'm Lieutenant Shara, the logistics officer here at Whisper Base. You've got a briefing in about 10 minutes, but I'd bet my pay it's going to be at least a half an hour, honestly, with how things go around here. You know, the brass, tough for them to get ready sometime. However, in the meantime, grab some food or some rest or shower in the barracks if you wish, or whatever. Just stay out of the way. And she sort of turns and nods at you.
Thanks.
Welcome again to the base. I'll be in here if you need anything. And she seems to, hey, you, and sort of walks off. Again, you guys can see that Whisper Base is a hub of activity here in the hangar bay. The configuration of the base is pretty familiar to you. The Alliance creates their bases now in a very formulaic sort of configuration. And you guys know that normally, in addition to a hangar bay, there would be a command center and a barracks and probably some sort of firing range or place to train, something like that. You guys can definitely see that here in the hangar bay, there are engineers and pilots, different types of people are here.
We only have a half an hour, so I don't know if you want to
Well,
look around or get some...
technically 10 minutes, but, you know.
Well, we should stay probably pretty close.
Okay.
Do you want to get some food or maybe talk to a couple people around here?
You guys get the sense that there are basically 3 exits from this expansive hangar. One off to your left, which seems to be a little bit more secured. You think it probably heads to the command center. And one that's a little bit less secured. You think that heads to the barracks. And then the third is actually a turbo lift that goes downstairs only. You're not sure exactly what it is, but it probably leads to that firing training area, firing bay.
What do you need? What do we feel?
You guys definitely get the sense just intrinsically that there's a lot of anxiety here in the base right now. People are rushing around. There's news of this prototype that the Empire has. You're not exactly sure what that's all about. That's the general scuttlebutt. Maybe there's more. Who knows? People might know things. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Well, the command center might have plans or other things of what this prototype looks like. Maybe it's worth checking out just to see if I've seen something similar in my training.
We could give it a go. I mean,
unless you guys want to split up.
You might get, if the brass is uptight, like she was saying, we might have better luck talking to some of these, wrench monkeys.
Hey.
And since we have our own, maybe it'd be good. Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of anxiously, like, my eyes keep drifting over towards the X-Wings. I'm like, what are we?
Indeed. You can see over by the X-Wings, Tendar, that it looks like there is probably the chief engineer, who's a Sullustan. They are the alien race that seems to have multiple cheeks atop their face. They're sort of short and squat otherwise, probably no more than 5 feet tall. And they have really big not lidless, but big eyes that are black. There's no pupils at all. You know, they can see very well in the dark. But, yep, there seems to be a Sullustan who is the chief engineer. You guys also, Zal, everyone is getting the sense that there seems to be the commander of the pilots is also in this area. You can see someone with insignia. They're a human male, and they seem to be talking with some X-Wing pilots a few bays down from you.
Why don't we split our efforts?
Sure.
I'll go down to the range and see what's up there.
I have already started to wander towards the X-Wing fighters.
I'll wander over to the pilots and see if I can hear anything.
Cool.
Or maybe I'll get an opportunity to actually talk to one of them.
Awesome. I love it. We're going to start with Tendar since he rolled the most light side dice. Okay. And then we'll flip around. Tendar, you're sort of moving over the X-Wings. These are beautiful, beautiful starfighters. Mm-hmm. These are sort of the bread and butter of the Alliance at this point. They combine not only the ability of hyperdrive and great handling, but also proton torpedoes and chained together quad lasers on their S-foils. You know that in combat against Imperial forces, while the Imperial forces might be a little bit nimbler, they can't do anything as powerful as these X-Wings in terms of punch. Also, X-Wings have shields, whereas TIEs do not. As you move over, you can see the Sullustan sort of look at you just very briefly and appraise you and continue to talk to an engineer saying, we're going to need to lock down the power coupling on the S4 and in the 5S. Can I help you?
Oh, just admiring the spacecraft?
It is a beauty. I will agree with you.
I've done a little work on the A-Wings myself.
A-wings, yes.
Not nearly as impressive as the X-wings, but a fine little fighter.
Beautiful, beautiful fighter, much faster. Beautiful, and been around for a long time. Very reliable. The Whisper Base is home to an X-wing squadron. Primarily conducts missions in adjacent sectors. Nightmare Squadron, it's called.
Whoa.
Lightning fast attacks.
It's an impressive sounding name there.
Indeed, indeed. They will have their work cut out for them on the Hammer.
The Hammer?
Yes,
is
the Imperial Space Station that is here in the Corvus.
Oh. Any tech buzz about this new Imperial ship that's been people have been talking about?
He sort of shrugs and says, "They don't tell us anything.
Typical.
The brass, they stay in their command center and leave us to fix. I'm more worried that the Hammer, it's a site of training for Imperial pilots, which is one of the reasons that we don't usually perform actions near them. But who knows now? That's where they say the prototype is being held. The Hammer."
Oh.
And you guys start talking a little bit more about specifications of the X-Wing. The Celestin introduces themselves as Chief Engineer Soren and let you know they oversee all the mechanic crews that maintain the base and the ships. And you guys definitely get on quite swimmingly. As you, KL, you head over to the turbo lift and down into the firing range, the weapons range. You can see, or rather get the sense that Whisper Base is obviously subterranean. You're sort of surprised when you come out of the turbo lift and realize that the Starfighter base has apparently been built on quite a large natural cavern that's beneath it. And you can see stalactites and stalagmites sort of like all around. There's been, looks like a few places have been bulldozed and permacrete has been put down, but it's oddly natural here. You can smell the musty air, the very cool cave air. You don't hear the sounds of any animals or anything like that, but it definitely is a bit more wild here. As you're sort of looking around, you can see that indeed it looks like the weapon range here has been basically stocked with any different types of weapons, from large blaster carbines to small blaster pistols. As you're watching, you can see an assortment of rebel troops of different races being taken through shooting practice by a Twi'lek woman. She has a blue skin and is wearing the insignia of a lieutenant on her shoulder. She seems to definitely be in charge of probably all the troops in Whisper Base, ground troops, that is. She is sort of whipping these soldiers into shape, sort of shouting at them. She seems very intense.
All right, I'll swagger up to her.
And she looks at you and says, "Who the hell are you?"
I spit.
You spit. And she goes, "Chokdach."
Cal.
Is that supposed to mean something?
No. And I'll step over and just start shooting at targets.
Awesome. Please do make a ranged light or ranged heavy check for me.
I'll do a ranged heavy with
Perfect.
my heavy blaster.
Perfect. Yes, you bust out your heavy blaster. I think you have a rifle, don't you? Or no?
I do have a heavy blaster rifle.
Yeah, you bust out your heavy blaster rifle.
I kind of step up and nudge like a green recruit out of the way who hasn't quite gotten his targets off.
And she sort of sniffs and says, "Damn these interlopers. We're the ones who should be doing the job."
So I whistle to the bot to like push the target back a little further.
Yeah.
Do I throw more dice on there?
Yeah, let's throw a setback on there.
All right.
Let's throw a setback on there. Yeah, definitely.
So only
Not good enough though. So that's a fail, but you triumph. So something does go really good, does go your way, except not succeeding.
right.
So you don't actually hit the target. But
Okay, so my shot,
Yeah.
like it recoils,
Uh-huh.
like it goes well past, like off into the cavern, until like you just see a glow in the dark, and it bounces back and hits a stalactite, and that drops right on the target.
Okay, I'll let that go.
I didn't hit the target.
Yes, technically, I guess you didn't, John. All right, fair enough.
And
I try not to look
my
surprised.
my eyes are wide, and I compose myself and turn around and
All
blow
right.
the smoke from
Now
my
I would
barrel.
like you to make a hard charm or leadership check. That's up to you.
Push.
Oh, it is a push, unfortunately, with a setback. or rather a threat, as the case may be. And she looks at you and she spits and she says, "We're going to be picking up your graves, picking up your dead bodies and putting them in graves."
Yeah, that's likely. You going to see any action with those wingers up there?
She says, "Brass isn't putting us in. They say they have some crack team that they brought in. Know anything about it?"
I don't.
Liar.
Are those what those birds are up there for?
She says, "Nightmare Squadron, this is its base. Don't you know anything?"
It's my first rodeo.
She says, "Well, I'm Lieutenant Bewick, and I'm going to tell you to stay out of my way." And she sort of pushes you out of the way and sort of walks off.
That's it.
Yep, that's it.
I laugh.
Back to the hangar bay. Zal, you have had no problem ingratiating yourselves with the pilots. They recognize another one of their own. You guys are talking shop. They're telling you about Nightmare Squadron and how they love being part of it. Their reputation is that they perform lightning strikes and destroy everyone there and then get out before reinforcements can appear. So they're known to decimate Imperials. They don't leave prisoners or anything like that, and that's why they've gotten sort of their more aggressive name to some degree. But you've definitely met their commander, whose name is Jace Terrell. He's human. They're all wearing like black jumpsuits, basically. They have the insignia of the rebellion in white, pretty prominent on their breasts or on their shoulders or on their backs, as the case may be, and definitely all over their white helmets that they're sort of holding as well. They've been telling you that Nightmare Squadron has been preparing, says Terrell, for an ambush double. You know what I mean?
An ambush double?
Yeah, like where we make a micro jump and then wait and then make another micro jump to the actual target.
Ah, makes sense. It's a good.
We'll be heading out
good
soon.
strategy.
At least that's what I hear. Though something tells me you and I will learn more about that at the same time. And he sort of smiles at you.
More than likely.
I hope so.
Well, I'm actually surprised it's not one of your team that they're looking at to potentially fly this prototype out of there. You guys have such a reputation and amazing pilots.
He sort of gets a ashen look over his face. He has sort of reddish hair and a bristly mustache, like a comb, and he sort of is rubbing it, and he says, "Our special ops team has gone missing. They've been gone for a number of days. We don't know where they are."
A number of days they've been missing?
And he nods at that. And it seems as if that you're definitely starting to understand why the anxiety is sort of permeating this base as Jace looks at you with sort of intense eyes and says to you, "The squadron is scheduled to depart whenever you deploy. Something tells me the fighters are going to play some part in your mission."
So maybe more than likely you guys are going to be the ones to go in and, decimate as much as possible, hopefully cause a distraction, allow us to get this thing out of there.
He shrugs and says, "The Hammer is the Imperial space station of high importance here in Corvus Sector. But since Whisper Base is secreted here in Corvus Sector, we don't run missions ever in the sector to keep suspicion off the base. But now, I guess we are going to. So it seems Command thinks revealing ourselves is worth it. I sure hope so."
Well, do you have a base to then retreat to once this base is revealed?
"We do have our contingency plans, but I wouldn't want to lose Whisper Base. This is great."
Seems like an ideal location, that's for sure.
He looks at you and he says, "If you and your compatriots do get onto Hammer Base, do us a favor. Try and disable as many TIE fighters as possible."
We'll definitely do that. I have the guy for the job.
And he nods at that. We'd really appreciate it. And with that, you can sort of see KL coming back up.
We're riding with the Twi'lek lieutenant in the elevator back to
just glaring at each other.
just like smiling.
Yeah, she seems to be frostily ignoring you, as definitely Lieutenant Shara comes over to you, Tendar, and sort of taps you on the shoulder and says, "We're going to be meeting soon.
Oh, great. Okay.
This way, please." And she starts to guide you towards the command center hallway. That's where Lieutenant Buick is already heading. It seems as if you're following her,
Yeah,
KL.
I'll follow her up.
And Commander Jace is also heading that way. The six of you, as it were, go in at the same time. Within the command center of Whisper Base, you can see there are some security droids that are sort of stationed outside the door. They don't really mess with you guys as you sort of go in. The command center is pretty quiet. There's about a half dozen beings working digitally diligently at their sort of stations. They're supervising communications and sort of looking at information, analyzing data. As you guys sort of enter, you see who must obviously be the captain of the station. Not the commander, but the second in command, the captain, probably an intelligence officer. She is a Bothan, which is sort of like almost like a furry dog woman almost. She has a snout and a black nose and long sort of hair, short brown fur. She has a white stripe in her fur that seems to come down her forehead and onto her snout. She is obviously dressed as a commander. A captain. She sort of even has a little cape on. She seems to be the most sort of military dressed person that you've seen so far. Lieutenant Char introduced her as Captain Aileen. And Aileen looks at all of you and says, welcome to Whisper Base. We're sure glad you could make it.
It's great to be here.
The commander will be wanting to meet with you soon. She seems to be looking right at you, Tendar, like something about you has really caught this Bothan's attention. And she seems to be just sizing you up.
I smile, give a little wave.
And she looks at you and she says, Do you know Commander Elmac? Yes, you are aware that Commander Elmac is a Mon Calamari soldier, obviously a tactician. Apparently, he's the commander of the space. You have heard of him before, but you've never met him. You don't know him.
Oh, yes. I'm familiar with the commander. I've never had the privilege of meeting him.
Indeed. Well, I guess you're going to get that pleasure now. And as she starts to lead you guys into the mission briefing, follows you in, Lieutenant Char takes her sort of leave and bows at you guys, or nods rather. Lieutenant Bwick is here, the Twi'lek, as well as the starfighter captain or commander, Jace Terrell, and this Captain Aileen now with the three of you. And Aileen says, the commander will be along soon to explain the particulars of the mission.
So do we have a moment where I could kind of lean over to these guys, or are we kind of
definitely you can talk to them? Aileen is talking with Jace and Bewick about how it's super important to try and find any sort of intelligence about sector fleet deployments for the Imperials, and maybe there's some on the base.
So listen, the Twi'lek lady, no sense of humor, and can't even enjoy a trick shot.
You've been making friends again, I see?
You know, you need something to lighten the mood around here.
Yeah.
Well, one thing to let you guys know, we're not the first team sent on this. Their special ops team was sent out
I mean,
several weeks ago, and they haven't returned.
I'll say this a little loud. From the looks of things, no wonder they've been losing troops. Say that so the Twi'lek can hear me.
Oh,
And she flares.
Nice diplomacy there, buddy.
I wink at her.
Her like Leku, her tails are like twitching wildly.
Yeah, I like chuck her like a yeah.
So I think we need to find out if this is not only retrieving the ship, but there might be another rescue mission involved, which hopefully we'll get.
Probably
more
why they
people
called us
safely
in.
out of it.
Because
I don't know
we
why
have
they called us
we
in
have
for
a
this.
50% success rate on saving human lives.
Who knows? Maybe that's actually pretty good for the Rebel Alliance at this point.
Conversation sort of dies down as the doors open and Commander Elmac enters the room. You can see that he is a stout and tall Mon Calamari male. He has fairly common orange skin with sort of white undertones on his throat and sort of his underbelly, his underarms, on his palms of his hands, of his webbed hands. He is obviously dressed as a commander. He has some insignia at his breast and is wearing a military outfit. And he comes in and he says, Please, take your seats, please. We have no time for socializing. However, it's only fair to inform you that you are not our first choice for this mission. Whisper Base's Special Operations team is missing in action, and no other local assets are available. You are our last option, and we don't have the time to bring in outside operatives. This is likely not something you are accustomed to hearing. If you have any concerns, now's the time to give them voice.
What are the parameters of this mission exactly?
He says, he sort of is lifting a remote and says, well, we can get on with it right away, I guess.
This all sounds like routine work for our squad.
He sort of nods at that. And he looks at you, Zal. Sort of. It seems like you get the sense that he's not trying to push your buttons, but he's sort of
Measuring our coffins.
yes, he's measuring you. Yes.
Well, also realizing that we
yeah.
might potentially be heading into a suicide mission, and are we willing to actually go through with something like that?
He doesn't want to get too close. He'll get hurt again.
I just want to get too chummy.
Exactly. You can't lose another one. So, yeah, do you say or do anything as he...
I just look at him and smile.
You look at him and smile. And you're sort of dejected, Tendar. You're like, oh.
I thought we were going to be the good guys.
The A-team.
Yeah. Last choice, God.
And he pats you on... He pats you on the shoulder and nods and says, well, perhaps this will work. And with that, Elimac lifts the remote and lights dim. A rotating hologram of an Imperial freight ship appears above the conference table. I cannot overstate the importance of this mission. If you have questions during the briefing progress, it is imperative that you ask them. He looks over to the others and nods, indicating that they sort of present their mission statistics. Before then, he goes on to say, this Imperial freighter, IM 8736, a star galleon, has been making precisely scheduled trips to Corvus Sector for more than 6 years. Recently, the ship was delayed by a period of 8 days. Something has never happened in the better part of these years. This anomalous incident caught the attention of intelligence, and the analysis of the galleon's fuel capacity and range provided a limited number of ports of call the ship could have used for refueling. The list of Imperial-grade starports was eliminated through the lists of slicing into records of the Imperial Bureau of Ships and service records. Cartography shows that the galleon's delay was due to a trip to the Stylar Nebula, a region wherein the Alliance has long suspected a secret Imperial development facility is located. A single communique was decrypted by intelligence, referring to a prototype known an unknown project called Operation Shell Cracker. Contextual clues from the communication seem to indicate it was a small-scale ship, designed for use against fleet-scale capital ships. Elmac walks around the table and says, your mission is to infiltrate the Hammer, this Imperial fortificade station, discover the nation of Project Shell Cracker, and then steal the prototype. If taking it intact proves impossible, then you are to destroy it at all costs. Whatever the outcome, we cannot permit a weapon of this nature, whatever that nature may be, to remain in the hands of the Empire. Questions?
So you seem assured that the actual prototype is here on that base.
He nods. We're very, very sure that the Hammer base is in that nebula, and the Shell Cracker is on that base.
And what are the capabilities? What are the defenses of this Hammer base?
The Hammer, well, you can all make a Knowledge Galactic Civil War check if you'd like to see what you know about the Hammer.
I think I know some stuff.
Yeah, you did pretty good, it looks like. Okay, cool. KL, you don't know much about the Hammer. You don't know anything. Really, but you are thinking about okay, so it sounds like an older base to you, like maybe it's not new, but the Empire hasn't been around that long, so maybe there's something weird going on there. For the other two, Zal and Tendar, you guys know the Hammer is positioned in a minor system an hour or two off the Corvus system, the nebula that I mentioned, and you guys know that the station plays a major role in supplying smaller capital ships from the Corva Imperial fleet. It is stationed just far enough out of the way to prevent further congestion of the Corva system. In addition to its value for supply, though, the Hammer is a training facility for pilots. The nearby asteroid belts are notoriously stable and allow for certification in high-speed and close-quarters ship combat. Additionally, Tendar, the Hammer is not only old, everyone knows that, but it's quite old. It's a refitted Firestar-class orbital defense station. It was manufactured during the days of the Old Republic by Rendili Star Drive. It presently serves as a staging point for secondary fleet maneuvers in the Corvus sector. As part of its refitting, the Hammer has a TIE complement of 2 full squadrons of 12 for a total of 24 standard TIE starfighters.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's you definitely get the sense that the Hammer is probably named that because it looks like the Hammer. The orbital space station actually resembles like a hammer of some type.
More aesthetic, less functional.
Yes, exactly. But that being the case, you get the sense there are probably multiple ship landing bays, hangar bays. Yeah, it's a space station.
What
Engineering.
kind of do I know what kind of defenses it has?
Other
than the 24 TIE fighters?
The TIE fighters, and you get the sense that tractor beams are probably a big part of their defenses. But
Okay.
other than that, if it's been retrofitted for supply and for starfighter, it probably doesn't have many lasers on it. Probably has shields or something like that. No big offensive turbo lasers. It probably has capital ships around it sometimes to just defend it if needs be. That's sort of what you guys know about the hammer.
From the looks on these guys' faces, whatever the hammer is, it's not good news. So, how are we going at this? Are we doing full front? Are we coming at it sideways? Is there like a plan to slip onto this thing?
Well, that also begs the question. You already sent a special ops team in. Does the hammer know you guys have done this? Will
Commander
they up their
says, no,
defenses?
the special ops team was deployed somewhere else. We never send forces in the Corva sector for fear of revealing where our base is. But now, with the knowledge we have of the shellcracker, it seems imperative that we do.
And you can't stage this attack like it's not coming from the system?
With our starfighters, that is why we're micro-jumping, to hope that we throw them off. But they can do the same thing we did to try and recalculate or retro-calculate the fuel jumps. It is a... If you are unsuccessful, well, who knows?
You
have
guys
evacuation
get
plan
the
in
sense that Elamac is very reticent to reveal where his base is. So if you aren't successful, you get the sense you might be left in the lurch. But he sort of turns the briefing over to Commander Jace Terrell, the commander of Nightmare Squadron. And he says, well, once you get into the hammer, things are much simpler. You're going to need to get past the primary security cordon, but that should be easy. 4 months ago, an Imperial survey vessel stumbled upon an Alliance safe world. Fortunately, there were special forces teams training there, and they were able to capture the vessel before the planet's location was compromised. They submitted a false report, and the ship was turned over to Alliance intelligence. Reports have continued to be filed to maintain the illusion that the crew is still operating for the Empire. The last report, though, places the ship relatively nearby and near enough to a neutron star to have sustained significant electronic damage. So, if the ship were to appear at the hammer and request repairs, it would not be unreasonable, especially if you have credentials, which we do have for you. If you are able to get onto the hammer using this ruse, using the credentials, the rest should be relatively easy. The secondary security cordon will no doubt be around the prototype itself, but you should be able to move around the base freely with your credentials, where you will be posing as surveyors. They work for the Imperial sometimes to survey planets far afield. They also employ non-humans as indentured servants sometimes as well, which are not necessarily...
Here we go again.
not necessarily respected by the Imperials, but is overlooked by them. No offense, Tendar. It simply would be odd for you to appear as a...
It's the way of those blasted Imperials.
That is what we fight for, my friend, to destroy all types of prejudice.
Is there information that we need to have to be able to pass the surveyors? I mean, I don't want to get into a conversation with somebody on this base and they can find us out very quickly.
Your
because...
credentials should be enough. If no one's expecting you on the base, so you're there for repairs...
So we shouldn't technically run across anybody who could start talking to us about our line of work. And
No one's really expecting you. Once you're able to get into the prototype, fly it out of there and signal us, and Nightmare Squadron will jump to support you.
All right.
And what kind of ship is it that we're using?
We have no information about Operation Shellcracker, except that
No.
it's-
The ship we're using to fly
yes.
in.
It's a Lambda-class shuttle.
Okay.
Space cow.
Indeed. You guys can see that all the officers there seem to be done with the briefing. They don't seem to have any more information to give you per se. If you guys have questions, maybe they have some more answers. You definitely get the sense that the briefing is sort of coming to an end.
Would it be possible to look over the our craft before the
Of
mission?
course. So, yeah, with that, Commander Elamac nods at you and says,
May the force be with you. Nods and sort of takes his leave.
May the force be with you.
And he looks at you, Tendar, though, and gives you sort of a warm smile. He seems to definitely have a rapport with you. Obviously, you're from the same homeworld. And he says, we look forward to your return, Tendar.
I look forward to it too.
Cool. Yeah, you guys are taken to the Lambda-class shuttle in the hangar bay. You can see that it looks like it's already been, like, purposefully, like, scored and has damage on it. So that'll be the ruse that you guys have electrical damage from this storm that you went through, and that's why you're going to need to land on the base.
I would like to look at the damage that they've inflicted and make sure that it is in keeping with the...
Cool. Yeah, why don't you just go ahead and make a mechanics check for me? Does anyone else want to do anything?
I want to talk to you. If you're flying this bird, I got an idea.
Okay, I'm listening.
Why don't we see if we can crash this thing without killing ourselves?
Wait, what?
Well, if we can't fly it real good, like because it's hurt, crash it right into one of their TIE hangar bays.
Interesting.
Well, we might need to reinforce the hull a little bit and
Boost the shields?
create some sort of crumple zone or crash
The
bubble.
other problem we're going to run into is if we're heading in and they, realize that the ship is out of control.
We'll scream bloody murder. We'll do our best. We'll wait till the last minute to really freak them out.
Okay. Try and bring it in like we're bringing it in normal, and it's like the controls have just
Yeah,
gone
we can't go
wonky.
in that bay. We're just gonna have to crash land in a bunch of coat hangers right into those racks.
Rocks are TIE fighters? That's not a bad idea.
I'm game.
All right.
And you can see that inside there is an astromech droid. Is introduced to you as R2M5. And that M5's purpose is to update your Navicomputer after you emerge from hyperspace.
Sort of mask.
Sort
our
of
location.
mask where you actually have been, exactly. And that your orders are to either wipe M5's memory and take him with you, or to destroy him before leaving the ship.
All right. So those pilots, what do you think those self-propelled sandbags are here for? If they got the pilots, what do they need all these soldiers?
What? What are you talking about?
The Twi'lek and all the soldiers.
Oh,
That's true. You were saying there was quite a large base down there and a lot of shooting practice.
They're doing a lot of practicing.
I don't know.
Never mind. Let's go attack the hammer.
Do you think something's up? Do you think there's more to this than meets the eye?
I don't know. I think we got enough to think about with the mission.
You guys get the sense that KL made a very poor impression on Wick, the Twi'lek lieutenant of the soldiers.
They're not worth our time.
Okay.
But it definitely was clear that they were preparing for something. Yes. What that was, you didn't really maybe find out.
Well, did it seem, because I know that they're supposed to be sending the Nightmare Squad to give us backup, did it seem like there was going to be some ground forces that would come in too
I don't know.
for backup, or does it just seem like we're just going to have air support?
Well, they may be here when we get back, too. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Maybe we don't come back here.
Did we see any transport ships in the? If it's just TIE fighters, that
No, you don't see any. You see two light freighters. You came in on one, and there's another one. There's the TIE fighter, or excuse me, the X-wings, as I mentioned.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
and the
X-wings.
Lambda
Dark.
class shuttle now, the Imperial shuttle.
Okay.
That you guys are boarding. They're assuming Zal that you're going to be the pilot. Obviously, R2M5 will do the astrogation and put the Navicomputer right. But other than that, the Lambda class shuttle has a co-pilot. And a few other stations if anyone wants to take a station. But it's only the three of you on here. No one's with you besides the droid.
So can I look at this thing and see if I can
Oh, what was your mechanics check? I
Oh, I
apologize.
didn't actually make it.
Let's do that as you take a look at
how
it.
hard is this?
Yeah, you're very happy with actually this. You get the sense that the damage on here will probably give you about 48 hours before it's discovered that this is actually fake.
Okay, cool.
Like, you know where to look in the exact right places, but just like through your experience as being an engineer, normally an engineer would go down this list of things to do, and that list would take a long time then to realize that this was self-inflicted.
All right, cool. That's looking good. And can I then look if are you serious about wanting to crash? Are we gonna do this?
I mean, at this point, they pretty much said, don't come home unless you come home with the boat.
It's true.
It's a crazy
okay.
idea, but I think it could work.
Says your R2 unit.
I've had it.
So can I look over the ship and see if there's a way to structure how Does it look like we would survive something like this crazy plan?
Anybody can make an average intelligence check, intellect check.
I'll put these extra straps on us. I think that might help.
And that succeed. Look at that. You are all quite sure that you'll probably impact and explode on the shields of the station before getting anywhere near any type of hangar bay. Especially because normally for these types of things, you are brought in by a tractor beam into the hangar bay. They don't just let you fly in yourself. You get the sense that the KL's plan is risky and a very improbable.
I don't like it. Let's not do it.
All right. Well, if the opportunity arises.
But mostly because those damn shields. If you were able
Right.
to get through those shields somehow,
If the shields are
that
able
would
to
be
be
it.
down,
But-
then we could actually, yeah.
but again,
And not in
there's
a tractor
there's
beam.
there
And not in
you
a
guys
tractor
don't know of any. There's no technology that allows a ship to just pass through.
But is there any
shields.
technology that we can do to try and stop the tractor beam? Like
So,
if the shields are dropped and the tractor
ye-
beam takes us over?
Tendar and you are all, you get the sense that engineering would be the place to disable a tractor beam inside the
So
base.
you'd have to be inside the
Trying
base.
to
Right.
remotely disable it would be difficult. You'd have to get into their secure network, and who knows if they broadcast their network? It's probably localized.
That was how they destroyed the Death Star, after all. They had to get inside
That's
to
true.
drop the shield.
And it's interesting that you say that, Tendar, is you're getting the sense that with the Death Star being destroyed by a single small ship, that this shell cracker operation might be the Empire's response to that. They're developing their own very small ship that is supposed to be able to destroy capital-sized ships.
Yikes. So why don't we just we'll get on like normal as normal as infiltrating as an Imperial
Stick to the
base is,
original plan.
and then wreak holy hell once we get inside.
Sure, that works.
You guys are
I
given,
promise you'll be able to blow up stuff once we get in there.
You guys are given disguises as Imperial survey personnel. The weapons that you have on you are totally fine. They sort of go with the the sort of
Right. We just
get
kind
up
of
that
like
you already
spray
have.
branding on them. So that they,
Well, no. Think of it this way: since you're survey personnel, you're in the bush. Like you're supposed to be getting dirty. You're
Right.
supposed to be out there in the wilds.
Right,
Like
dealing
first
with random
contact.
creatures
Yes,
and, yeah.
exactly. So it makes sense that you're a little bit more rough and tumble and a little bit more
you have
dirty.
Australian accents.
Yes, exactly.
Good day.
Exactly. That would actually, I would ask anytime you're pretending to be an Imperial that you would do an Australian accent.
I can hold an accent for like a half a sentence and then I immediately go into something else.
Hey, yeah.
So speaking very clipped.
Yeah, short sentences, half sentences.
Cool. You guys definitely get the sense that now is the time. You can talk about your plans a little bit more on the way there. It's obvious that Command has given you the mission and they're anxious for you to take off. Nightmare Squadron will be taking off at the same time as you will to micro jump somewhere else to then wait for your signal to micro jump to you.
All right. You guys ready?
I guess so. Is
Zol-
there anything else we need to get as far as supplies or anything?
More explosives?
Okay, I want to try and reprogram the droid when we get there. Don't just blow it up, please.
All right. They are good vehicles for explosives.
You guys each are able to get one more of your explosives. You can write that
One
down.
more of each
on
grenade or something?
Exactly. If you have 2 grenades, you get one more of each. If you have 1 grenade, you get one of that. So you each get an extra explosive on top of what you already have of that type.
Okay.
So they equip you, and you get the sense that maybe they weren't going to equip you. Like if you guys were shitty and this was going to be, they thought this was going to be a lost mission, like just a total lost cause.
Why waste
But they
the
get the
ammo?
sense that you guys had a little bit of indignation about being called into like saying you're not cool and you're not the best, and you definitely at KL
Well, I
had
did
enough
sweet
arrogance.
talk the
Well, and
The munitions
and
master.
Elamak being Mon Calamari, just like Tendar, you got the sort of the racial in, if you will, or rather the shared experience in. So you guys are definitely able to get some more munitions.
All right.
And with that, Zal, you sort of slip into the pilot's chair. Anyone want to take co-pilot or the sort of the computer station, like this?
There's a computer station.
Yeah, there's like a scanning station.
I'll sit at the.
Yeah. So I'll slip in behind whatever gunner's system there is.
Awesome. Yeah, there is. There are
Who
sort
knows?
of wing-mounted lasers. Exactly. Who does know? Zal, you are able to bring the Lambda-class shuttle out of the Mesa hangar as the blast doors open for you. They're obviously gray on this side, but the brightness of the dusty world, this dusty moon, sort of shines in your eyes as sort of automatically the visor, the view screen in front of you sort of darkens to compensate. And you're taking off as you see a full dozen X-Wings sort of come out of not only this hangar, but hangars from other mesas that you haven't been to. And you have a full complement of now a dozen X-Wings sort of flying, flanking you guys and sort of escorting you as you go up in through the atmosphere and out into outer space. You hear Commander Jace Terrell come over the comm. Well, good hunting there, Pilot Zal. Hopefully we'll be hearing from you soon.
I hope so too.
All right. Bye.
Signing off.
And with that, he says, Nightmare Squadron, get ready to jump. And they all sort of, their call signs go off, Nightmare 5, Nightmare 6, and they're ready to jump, ready. And they all go, choo, 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 as they sort of take off, and you guys are there by yourselves in outer space. What would you like to do, Zal?
Space Cow 1, let's jump.
I like it. We are the Space Cow.
Space Cow? Okay.
Oddly enough, this shuttlecraft does have a moniker already, of course, a transponder. You can call it the Space Cow lovingly, but it has the
SPC-1.
No, it has the loving transponder name of the Emperor's Vision.
The Emperor's Vision?
That is the name of this shuttle, yes. Or Space Cow, whichever.
Yeah, I mean, I just imagine him
Like, was this
envisioning
a fancier shuttle at one point in time that actually carried diplomats or something?
I
This
mean,
is
Lambda-class shuttles are utilitarian. It doesn't look like it's been upgraded or anything like that. You guys do know it was taken from surveillance teams, Imperial surveillance teams, and
Okay,
then
so it
sort
definitely
of
was something like
covertly
offense, these
kept
things.
running. So it seems like the Imperials still own this ship, though they don't really.
All right.
Cool.
So we'll get ready to jump.
Indeed, you jump into hyperspace, jumping within system, so it doesn't even take that long, only a few hours. You guys are able to sort of prepare and get ready. You're in your costumes, as it were, your uniforms. You have your gear. You have your all-important credential cards that they've given you, as well as the automatic sort of credentials that come along with the Emperor's Vision that you'll be able to transmit. As the blue streaks of hyperspace drop away, though, they're replaced by white stars that come into your view. In the distance, you see a hammer-shaped station hanging in orbit around a blue-gray planet. The ship's comm comes to life as you hear, "Attention! Unidentified vessel. You are not scheduled for arrival in this system. Maintain your present course and identify yourself immediately or face military censure."
Emperor's Vision here. We are a surveillance class ship. We've sustained damage and are requesting repairs.
Good day, Hammer. We need to drop in. Is that...
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, you guys can definitely make a charm check or a deception check. It's up to you. Whoever makes this check will have a boost on it because you guys are sort of helping each other. As it
I'll
were.
let you make the deception and I'll help you.
Okay.
Yeah, despite the harsh tone of the initial communication, it seems like everything goes smoothly as you hear, "Attention, Emperor's Vision. Your transmitted credentials have been confirmed. You will follow the transmitted heading and dock at Imperial Station HM7R, where your physical credentials will be examined. If all is in order, you will be permitted to effect repairs as needed to continue your mission." The message carefully omits what may happen if your credentials cannot be validated, although you can easily imagine what outcome that may be. You guys are sort of flying along the continuing course towards the hammer. It's getting closer and closer to you. The hammer itself, think of it as if its like stalk is sort of sticking out one end of it. So it's almost like a hammer that's sitting on its side. So you guys are sort of flying towards what you can obviously tell is the main hangar bay. And then the hammer itself, it seems like there may be some sort of barracks or something like that over here. A very, very small maybe hangar bay over here. and another larger maybe hangar bay over here, but not as large as this one that you're heading towards. You're obviously heading towards the main hangar bay. It is a pretty large or old orbital station. You can see it's definitely been retrofitted and then repainted in the Imperial sort of color scheme.
Black.
It's like a gray. Yeah, it's like a gray. As you guys are being flown in, you can definitely feel the rumble of tractor beams locking onto your shuttle to bring you in very steadily through sort of the final arc of your course. And as the vessel enters the station, there are a series of metallic thuds as vessel is deposited on the deck of the hangar bay. From your viewport, you can see a trio of other vessels, 2 light military freighters, and a diplomatic shuttle of some sort. The hiss of the exit door seems loud, and the men waiting for you at the bottom are exactly what you would expect to see in an Imperial facility. The officer glances at his datapad and then looks at the 3 of you in a distracted manner, saying, Imperial Survey Vessel ISV 7X8. You're a little far away from your normal rounds, aren't you?
Yeah, we got tagged as a neutron star, and now we're limping worse than a one-legged wampa.
Go ahead and make a charm or a deception check, KL. This is easy. It's just one. Yeah? Yeah. He nods at that, and he says, very well. We'll have the droids take a look at your ship. Until we can find out what's the matter with it, you are cleared to enter Hammer Station.
Speaking of droids, hey, Fishy, you want to bring our bot in?
Yeah, there is.
Yes, sir.
What are you doing with the astromech, Tendar?
I am going to try and wipe its memory.
You are easily able to do so. No check needed. It's
Okay.
quite simple for you to do so. But you don't wipe out all his functions. He sort of has this core processing still in place and realizes that he's supposed to follow you around. And M5 does so. R2 M5 is he's sort of following you down the gangway.
Come on, little buddy.
The officer says, "I need to inspect your physical documents, please. Even whatever that is." As he looks at the Tendar.
I buried the rage deep inside and handed him my credentials.
It comes in handy to have somebody like this around for carrying stuff.
If you say so.
You
And
know,
he's-
expendable.
I'd rather have a droid. And he sort of takes your credentials and looks at them.
Droids
and
are expensive, man.
hands them back to you. What, expensive? We're living in the Empire. There's money to go around.
Oh, tell that to your acquisitions boss.
Ha! Yeah, right. He can stick it in his exhaust port, right, buddy? And he says, very well, then. He sort of becomes disinterested. Your vessel will be processed as soon as we can work it into the duty roster. Droid crews will complete a diagnostic within 48 hours, give or take. At which point, the actual repairs should be done pretty quickly thereafter. You are being now issued, as he hands you sort of like passes that he's sort of taking out of a pouch at his belt. He says, you're being issued 72-hour level 1 security passes. You will have access to all non-restricted areas on the station. Additionally, you have temporary quarters assigned. Any failure on your part to adhere to your security restrictions will result in immediate disciplinary actions and insubordination charges. Do you understand your restrictions?
Yeah, that's how it should be. So, who are the fancy pantsers you got on this? And I nod towards the diplomatic boat.
As you suddenly slip into Cockney.
He shrugs.
Sir, it's surveillance voice. The space surveyors.
He shrugs and says, I don't know, maybe some engineers, they are bringing in bigwigs. You know, we build different types of things here. Lots of prototypes. But, not much to know more than that.
Above my pay grade.
Yeah, you and me both. All right, well, keep your noses clean. And he walks off.
All right.
You guys get the sense that there are a number of locations in the Hammer. You are in, obviously, the freight sort of hangar bay. Can sort of see from a nearby map that there seems to be an engineering section. This entire station is sort of the barracks. There seems to be a detention center. There also seems to be a hangar bay for starfighters, and then a restricted hangar bay that no one really knows much about. But you're not allowed there. It's high security and is restricted. The only other high security part of the bay, or the base, the Hammer, is the detention center, where you are now in the hangar bay. There, it's low security. You see a bunch of droids and Imperial personnel just walking around repairing things, scurrying, doing things, just going about their business basically. But there aren't any guards in here. You know that the Starfighter Bay is probably going to be medium security as well as the engineering section.
So, here's what I'm thinking.
You're by yourselves. No
Okay.
one is around you.
We just a point of order. Even though we have 72-hour credentials, in 48 hours, they're going to realize that the damage to the shuttle is fake.
Says R2.
Well, can you have that bot
Do you need
set
to
this
erase
thing?
him again?
Can you set this thing to blow up in 48?
I could set anything to blow up in 48 hours, but what are you talking about?
Oh, the shuttle.
The shuttle. Cause a mess?
Yeah, I could give it a go. If
Maybe-
they'll let me back on the shuttle.
Yeah, definitely. You think you have access to the shuttle.
Okay.
You see droids heading your way. It obviously looks like they're going to start their diagnostics soon.
Would you be able to do it in such a way they won't come across it during their diagnostics?
The giant
Could you use
explosion.
it? I'll point to
They'll
the...
probably notice the giant
no, I
explosion.
mean, could you set it up so they don't realize what's going on and
Or
change it?
or better yet, can we
I can give it a
set
go.
up this droid so we can trigger it remote? It's been talking
Whoa.
to the ship for a while.
Little M5? You want to blow up little M5?
No. Use it. Have it send a signal to the ship. Is there a way
Oh.
to do that? Like,
Maybe. I can try.
Definitely. You think that there would be a number of steps involved in this, from setting up a connection between M5 and the Emperor's Vision, the space cow, if you will, as well as then setting up some sort of remote detonation in the ship itself. So were you to get the connection between M5 and the ship wrong, no big deal. You just wouldn't be able to set off the bomb. If you were able to get the detonation wrong, you would probably explode yourself in the process.
No
harm
guts,
in
no glory.
no harm in trying.
Well, yeah, there is a harm in trying, but
we might need the distraction.
I'm willing to do my part for the Alliance.
All right.
Cool. Which would you like to attempt first, Tendar?
I'll do the easier part of trying to set up the connection between M5 and the Emperor's Vision.
Great. That will be an average computers check. Yeah.
That looks
Quite the
good.
success. Definitely. You are able to rig up M5 and the Sea Cow, a.k.a. the Emperor's Vision, so that they have a remote connection. And you definitely think that M5 will be able to use the systems to set off a bomb whenever, basically. You could set the bomb to remote detonate on a timer, but it sounds like you're instead wanting to sort of have a hair trigger that M5 has. Cool. So M5 is sort of the walking switch.
Right.
Or rolling switch, as the case may be. Cool. So he's the trigger, and you definitely think that that's set up.
Okay. And then I guess I will attempt to rig the ship to explode.
Very good. This will be a hard mechanics check because you're trying to do it pretty quickly. Since the Imperial droids are about to show up and start scanning everything, I'm going to actually give you a setback on this, a black die as well. So 3 purples, 1 black.
Yeah, I think I'm going to use one of your...
The Destiny?
yeah.
Totally. The dark side hangs heavy around you. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think you probably have 1 threat on there, but you do succeed. So here's what happens. You definitely think that you've set up the connection between... The shuttle's rigged. Like you've basically set the hyperdrive to detonate and basically implode. You've set that process to go off once M5 kicks it off, but you get the sense that it's going to be a countdown, not an immediate thing.
Okay.
You get the sense it'll be a 3-round countdown before that actually the process actually goes through. But you do have it set up, and M5 is ready to detonate. Well
so
done.
it'll take, what, 3? 1, 2, 3?
It'll take 3
Rounds.
rounds.
Oh, 3 rounds. Okay.
Yeah.
It'll
Okay.
take 3
I-
rounds.
Okay.
As it were.
I think we're good to go.
All right. So what's next? What do we got to do here? I mean, first off, these dinky passes aren't going to get us where we need to go.
No.
And then getting out of here is going to be tough. And plus, we want to make it easy for our buddies to take this place out if they need to.
Well, we needed to...
How many Sorry.
You guys had heard about the tractor beam in engineering. You'd heard about disabling the TIE fighters. Those are probably in the fighter shuttle bay or fighter hangar bay.
So there are no TIE fighters in the bay?
No,
right?
no,
Okay.
not around you right now. Only freighters.
Okay.
Yeah, only freighters and other shuttle type craft. No fighters. You guys had also heard very surreptitiously about fleet deployments, which might be information you can find somewhere as well. That finding any intelligence here on fleet deployments or Imperial intelligence would be helpful.
I mean, do we split up again?
And Zal has a nagging feeling that maybe there was a team sent here, even though you guys were sort of told there wasn't. It's unclear what the deal is with that.
I don't know. What do you think? Should we split up a little bit? Try to get some intel?
I can't wander around by myself.
No, you have to be with one of us.
Yeah.
Says M5.
Well, M5, you stick with him, obviously. Do we want to? I don't know. Is there like a cantina, or is there like someplace to get some food? Someplace where you can kind of
commissary?
like, something you could kind of like maybe make,
Well, let's
maybe we can
let's
find a
make
little
our
bit more
way to
about these people
the
who
to the
come in.
barracks and kind of rub elbows with the common folk.
One thing, as you guys leave the engineering section and you're walking around, you can definitely see that there are like patrols of armed guards, but there are no stormtroopers here. You're not seeing any stormtroopers. You're only seeing like Imperial Navy troopers, Imperial Navy engineers, maybe.
But there's
stuff
still
like
what looks
that.
like to be a large detention.
As you flew in, you saw a large detention center. Yeah, which is you got the sense is this thing over
Okay.
here. Yeah.
Well, because there's a chance
Sort of sticking off the
if there was
the hammer.
special ops sent,
It looks
then
like what one would
They
think
were
would be
caught.
the hammer's
they were caught. So there might
shaft,
be
if you
in
will.
there, which means we might get a little bit of reinforcements if we can spring them.
I mean, our best bet with all this going on is to sow as much chaos as we can and
Sounds
try
good.
to blow ourselves out of here under the smoke.
Yeah.
So we want to head to.
I guess we'll find out. Let's go find out what we can.
Yep.
Head to common area.
Cool. So you guys are sort of heading to a common area as you're walking around the base. I mean, none of you are super familiar with Imperial facilities, except for maybe you, Zal. You were in the Imperial Academy, and you did work for the Empire for a little while before you defected. And this is definitely not up to spec, up to code, if you will. This is obviously that they retrofitted this place. And so it doesn't have sort of the regimented feeling and the austere feeling to some degree of other Imperial facilities, though they've really tried to instill that here. You see little mouse droids whipping around, patrols of guards, people checking each other's credentials every here now and again. No one's really messing with you guys. You seem to be doing your own thing. But you get the sense that they're, as you sort of find like a commissary, no one's really conversating here. It's very austere and quiet and lonely. Like there isn't a lot of camaraderie among the Imperials. You guys don't really get the sense that they want to make friends or are interested in new people.
So there's like no place around here where you could buy somebody a drink and be like,
no,
okay.
You do not get the sense that is the case. No.
It's a dry base.
Yeah, most Imperial facilities are, and this one especially. Yeah, you definitely don't get the sense. I mean, you might be able to charm someone or intimidate someone or something like that into talking to you, but yeah, you don't get the sense that there's like a cantina or a commissary where people are having a rockin' good time. No, everyone seems to be pretty focused on their jobs here and on their work. Especially because the station is under such tight security because of the prototype.
Does it look like there are any specific like engineering types, like somebody that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely see someone who's an engineering type for sure, a technician. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's an Imperial technician here for sure, and they they're eating.
I'll
some
walk
stuff.
over with you and sit down.
I wasn't necessarily going to go talk to them because they're not going to want to talk to me.
I know. I'll do the talking.
Okay. I was just thinking maybe you could swipe their credentials.
We'll work on that.
Okay.
Well, they'll pay less attention to you.
Cool. So you sit down, across from this guy?
Yeah, I'll sit down across from him, and I pull out a small flask.
Okay. And you're offering it to him?
I'll take a swig myself and be like,
He's
quite
like
a space
studiously ignoring you.
pace like you got here.
And he looks up at you and looks back at his meal and is just like eating it. You obviously get the sense he's very prickly and like his shoulders are sort of rising. He seems to be sinking.
Did you do some of this work with your retrofit?
He says, "No, I just rotated here last cycle."
Oh yeah, where from?
Corva Prime.
All right, that old sandhole.
He says, "Yeah," and he seems to be getting up like he's gonna leave.
Hey, have a seat, man.
I come up and sit next. I kind of put my arm around him and sit down and be like, "So how you doing?"
Okay.
And I passed you the flask as well.
I take a sip and go like, "Hey, I know it's really not regulation, but if you want some, we got plenty."
Okay. Make a charm check, a average check, and you'll have a boost because KL is helping you out. He looks at you and says, "Well, all right. I can't say no to those eyes, I guess." And he takes it and he takes a swig and he says, "Get rid of the lug, though."
Oh, don't mind him. He's just my cousin.
And he's like, "Ew." And he sort of puts it back down, and obviously seems like he's about to take off.
You're like, hey, you know what? I won't get in the way of love. Hey, Fishy, let's roll.
Yes, sir.
And he says, I really got to get back to the engineering section. It was, thank you.
Oh, what's your name?
He says, Kyle.
Engineer, huh? I've always been very impressed with how, intelligent that you have to be to work in the engineering department. I'm just a pilot myself.
It's true. It's very true. Many systems need to be taken care of, and, we make sure, you can breathe air.
Very true. So you've just been here for a little while?
Yep, just in the last cycle.
So how are you finding it?
While this conversation's going on, we're going to go towards the door he was, exiting towards, and kind of, I'm going to go outside and then kind of, scoot off the edge a little bit and just kind of lean against the bulkhead and just kind of look around the corridor and wait.
Okay.
And maybe signal for Tendar to get on the other side of the door too.
I will do that.
Okay. Yeah, you guys are sort of hanging out outside the door to the commissary. People are coming in and out. You see people sort of looking at, giving you weird, funny looks.
I'll pretend to tinker with M5.
Okay. Yeah. You definitely are sort of tinkering with M5, who's next to you. Zal, you're talking with the engineer Kyle. Not to be confused with KL.
Who's cousins now?
And Kyle seems to be taking a shine to you, especially since you're complimenting him. He tells you that he has to get back to his shift, but he definitely would love to meet up with you later.
Certainly. Where would you like to meet?
He says, how about here? My shift's over in 8 hours.
Sure. I'll make a plan for it.
And he says, all right. What's your name?
Zal.
Oh, that's a beautiful name, he says.
Thank you.
And he sort of winks at you and he says, don't worry, I'll bring my toolkit.
I give him a very winning
He pats an actual toolkit.
I look forward to it.
And he sort of saunters off. And he exits the doors right as you catch sight of him, KL.
I'll slap him on the back and be like, you old dog.
And he looks at you and he says, oh, you again. Yeah, your cousin's a winning gal.
Oh, watch out there. And I'll kind of push him back over, nudge him, sort of getting in his way a little bit and push him back over the droid.
Okay.
Like that classic bully move.
Yeah, totally. I think at this point, a brawl would be appropriate, and it will be an average check.
I will pretend to help him. Not push him, but oh no, watch yourself.
Okay. Success. Very good. Yes, indeed. As you push him over and he goes, oh, watch it, bush jockey! And it's sort of on the ground and says, what?
Sorry, mate. And I'll come down.
You're going to try, you're flying elbow, dropping him right now?
Almost like I've tripped over the droid, but yeah, I'm coming down
You're
hard.
Trying to do damage to him now, is that correct?
I'm going to knock him in the head.
You're trying to do damage to him.
Knock him out.
Okay, cool. Very good. I need you to make another brawl, and this is
Can I use melee brawn on this one?
You may use melee brawn on this, yes.
All right.
You can see that he seems to have his toolkit, and you get the sense he actually has a little blaster at his side as well, like a holdout blaster, a real small one.
I'll make sure that doesn't come into play. Yeah, we got
Cool.
success, a little bit of threat,
And
but
you do your brawn,
yeah.
and then you'll add an extra one for each, so you do 5, basically, right?
Okay, yeah, 5.
Cool. Unfortunately, 5 is not enough to knock him out in one hit. As you drop on him,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
boom, and he's just like, ah! And he says, I'm reporting you. Is there anything you'd like to do, Tendar, before this technician acts? You guys are in a hallway, like I mentioned. There are other people in this hallway. They definitely seem to be taking a note, at least, of what's happening here.
I'll have heard
involved.
this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll come running out.
So hold on. Let me get what Tendar's doing here. And then, yeah, Zal, you can definitely enter
Oh
the scene.
no, how clumsy. Let me try to help you guys up. And I will do something, electrocute him a little bit, as if it were coming from the droid.
Sure. I would even say that you could sort of...
Like stun him? in some-
What I'm saying is that you could activate the droid to electrocute him.
Okay.
The droid would actually do that,
Yes.
which would stun him. Sure.
All right,
You
sure.
would need to make a mechanics check or a computer's check. It's up to you to do that. Yeah, you're definitely able to key M5 to go bzzzt, and the guy goes, I'm going to report, and then just sort of collapses in like a smoking pile.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
bad M5. Oh, God. I really got to get that fixed.
Fishman, what are you doing?
And you guys
poor dude.
see Zal run up to you, and she's
Zol,
there.
Fishman just totally messed this guy up. Let's get him down to the med bay.
Definitely.
Awesome.
So
yeah.
we'll put him both, like his arms, like one arm
Yeah.
around your shoulders, one around mine.
And I'll kind of
take him
like shoot a glance at Fishman and yell out for the audience a little bit like, you can't find good help these days.
I need you to make a deception check, please.
I
believe
will
that
also
is
look
the
abashed.
check, or yes.
So it's an
One
advantageous
advantage.
bounce.
It is a yes. So that's a failure, unfortunately, but it's a failure with advantage, as it were. So everyone's sort of looking at you, and you see what looks to you as if a number of naval sort of personnel are coming over to you. You can see that, as far as you can tell, it looks like it is a security detail is coming over to you. As far as you can tell, they have blaster carbines, and they're wearing blast vests, and they have some comm links on their wrists. They're all humans. They definitely look like brawny guys. It's obviously a patrol, but they're sort of like marching past you, and they sort of notice you and sort of stop. And one of them looks right at you, KL, and goes, "What's the problem here?"
My total mess. This poor bloke tripped, and then my fishman got him zapped. It was a total. I'm gonna get it sorted.
Put a collar or some binders on this thing. And they see you all running up. Anything you'd like to say or do?
I can't believe that you've done this. I mean, I know that you're supposed to be looking out for me, but just because I'm flirting with somebody doesn't mean that you automatically
Hey, this was a total accident.
Yeah, M5, it's sorted out again.
How many times have I told you to get him fixed?
I know.
But anyhow, let's.
And they're like,
My
sorry,
fish fingers
look
are
between
so-
you.
It's so
Look,
ridiculous.
we're just gonna get him down to medbay. Point us there, please.
And they look at you, and it's at that point that I need you to make the deception check, please, Zal. You'll have 2 boosts on this, and it will be an average check. Unfortunately, I will also give you a setback on this because there is no med bay in Hammer Station.
Oh, we don't know.
No, you don't.
know that.
But they don't know who you are. They're
Right,
like, what is
exactly.
going
We're like-
on here?
Failure with advantage. So to say.
Indeed. They say, this is highly irregular. We're going to have to take your fisherman into custody.
All right. Look, can you just loan us some binders, and we'll keep good watch on him.
Make a negotiation check. Anyone want to say anything to help him and give him a boost? Anybody? Anything?
I promise it won't happen again.
Shut it, Fishman.
You get that, yeah.
We have nothing against fish people in real life.
No, we love fish people. We love Mon Calamari.
Ooh, that is a bounce
It
with
is
threat.
Yeah, so that's a failure with threat. As they look at you and they say, actually, I think we're going to need the fishman and that droid. Move along. We'll take them to the detention center and you can collect them when you're leaving the station.
Oh, well, you know what? Less trouble for us then. Let's help your boyfriend up. Get him back to his cabins, I guess.
Yeah,
All
he's unconscious on the ground.
Okay.
And they grab M5 and who's all. So yeah, this Imperial security detail, there are like 5 of them. They basically are frog marching you down the
Fish march.
Could you at least return him in the shape that we left him in? He's
No
actually quite
promises!
handy for us being able to
Oh.
carry stuff.
The droid, that is.
And you guys are separated.
Sorry, I failed you, sir.
Tendar,
Fishman.
you are fish march down the corridors of Hammer Base, the Hammer, as you're taken to the actually quite small detention center. It's only one hallway that has maybe 3 actual like massive cells on it. There was no detention center here when it used to be a base. They obviously converted this sort of what probably was maybe a barracks or some sort of storage space into this.
Warehousing.
Yes, exactly. And you guys can see, or rather you can see Tendar, and obviously M5 is with you, that they're taking you to one of the empty cells. And
Are there any other? Do I pass any full cells?
in fact, you do. You pass one that is incredibly full. It's full of 5 people. 5 people wearing the uniforms of rebels, in fact.
Ooh.
You can definitely tell that one of them is obviously a commander. One of them seems to be a lieutenant, and the other 3 are soldiers, obviously. The one who seems to be the commander looks like like a bear of a man who's sort of dressed almost like a smuggler. He has the Imperial, or rather the Alliance insignia on his coat, but it looks like he has been like beat up quite a bit. Like he has a black eye and a bloody lip, but he's sort of like crouching down in a corner, just sort of brooding. There's also what you see to be a middle-aged woman who has like tawny, sort of swarthy skin. She seems to be like a true dyed-in-the-wool warrior. Like she looks like a weapons specialist probably, or some sort of martial artist, but she is fucked up. Like she can't even move. Like she is on the ground, like just sprawled unconscious as far as you can tell. You don't even know. The third person seems to be some sort of near human. They have like a purplish cast of their skin, but otherwise they look exactly like a human. And they look to you almost like a technician maybe, or something like that. They're a little bit scrawnier. They have some goggles on their head, but they don't have any gear. The only non-human amongst them, besides the near human, I guess, is a Gotal, who is a literal goat man. He has like white fur and hooves, but hands with digits. He has a gray brownish face with sort of a big nose, not so much a snout. He has a mouth and regular eyes, and then he has 2 goat horns growing out of his head as well. You know that Gotals are particularly have a bad reputation of being sort of like thieves or confidence men. You definitely get the sense that this might be some sort of underworld contact or something like that. Who knows? Part of the team. But obviously, you know from firsthand experience that the Imperials are very anti-alien, and this Gotal is grievously wounded, probably the most grievously wounded of the entire team. The last person, the 5th person, is a young man who oddly doesn't look hurt at all. Like he hasn't been touched. Everyone else looks like they've been beaten, tortured, some of them within an inch of their life. But this kid, he's probably like 18, 20. He's also dressed almost like a little bit like a smuggler, but maybe a bit more like a, think of like a mad scientist crossed with a smuggler sort of. You see him there as well. And they all sort of look up at you, those who can, as you and M5 go by. And as M5 goes by, there's 100% of flicker of recognition in the young man's eyes, who isn't that beat up, as well as the dude who has the purple skin, or the sort of slightly purple skin. They both are very surprised. And it's obvious they recognize the droid. And that's what you see as the Imperial security forces throw you and M5 into sort of a cell that's across from them, and a force field of red appears in the doorway. And again, you can see through the red force field into the other cell where those rebels are. And with that, we're going to cut away to our other group of rebels. So, Zal and KL, you are in the hallway watching Tendar being fish marched off. What would you like to do?
I think we need to get our guy back to his barracks.
Well, we were giving quarters too. They'll come looking for him at his quarters. They won't look for him at ours when he misses his shift.
Bring him back to ours?
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. He's unconscious. We wouldn't know where his quarters would be.
All right.
You guys hustle this unconscious technician back to your quarters and lay him down in there. What would you like to do?
What's his security pass?
It is a medium security pass. You get the sense he works in the engineering section of the Hammer, not the restricted section.
So medium, would we have access with our normal badges?
You
to that?
would, though you have sort of like guest passes, if you will, whereas he has an actual.
He gets a little more
yeah.
play. Well, it's not much of an upgrade, but we could swap out.
Unfortunately, it is for a technician, neither of which you are, though obviously you could pretend to be one. But
Yeah.
you don't really have the expertise.
The knowledge.
Yes.
Well, they took him to the detention center, I'd imagine. I mean, is there anything we need to get into engineering for?
Tractor beams are
I mean,
in
the tractor
engineering.
beams in engineering, yeah.
Shields?
Shields and potentially like dismantling some of the security that would get us into the buildings. But again, that's all knowledge we don't necessarily have.
Yeah. All right.
We need to get our guy out.
Yeah, I guess that's the quickest source then.
So you guys are going to head towards the detention
But
center?
I'm
or-
gonna change into.
You change into the technician's
Yeah, I was
clothes.
like, let's undress him.
Clothes.
I want him to have no clothes on.
Yeah.
Cool.
I figure worst case scenario, if he wakes up, I can be like, oh, baby, I was just getting you ready.
He's not gonna wake up. I'm gonna slide my vibro knife into his chest,
KO executes the technician in cold blood.
and I don't.
I wish you would
I-
discuss these things
That you
before
feel
you.
you
Hey, I didn't carve the
KO,
rebel symbol in-
you feel cold for just a moment, as if it's odd. You just get a chill, like your skin gets really clammy for a second, and you feel as if the dark side is hanging heavy over you. If you even know what that even means, which you probably don't. But do you have a maybe not a religious experience, however you want to describe it, but
It
something
tastes like
something
the
preternatural or supernatural
tastes like the
comes over.
ruins of Alderaan in
Yes,
my mouth.
yes. The ashes of Alderaan are in your mouth.
Yeah.
As you sort of slit this guy's throat.
Tastes like home.
Yeah.
Well,
Totally.
I appreciate you wanting to silence him, but now what are we supposed to do with a dead body?
Roll it up, lock these quarters, and walk out.
Is there someplace we can stash?
Definitely
it
under
where-
the bed in a closet.
Okay, yeah, we
yeah.
try and hide it so that
Yeah,
it's
you
not.
stash it and you
Okay.
lock your quarters.
Okay.
And where are you heading?
We'll throw the clothes on the bed, make it look part slept in. I guess we just go to the detention center.
I guess so, and just say that we need to get a hold of something from our droid, or
Yeah, or we pose as I'll be a mechanic, and I think he's got information, and I was sent over here.
okay,
See how that goes.
that'll work.
Cool.
Maybe.
As I mentioned, the Hammer has a small detention center, and you guys are able to find your way there pretty easily by looking at the data pad that you sort of have that's looking around. There,
Oh, yeah, did he have a date? He had some
definitely.
info,
Yeah,
so
he
we
has a
took his
data pad.
toolkit.
Yeah,
all that
you have
stuff.
his toolkit. Definitely.
Is there any
And
other
you-
information on that data pad, though?
No.
He's
ju-
lower clearance,
The only thing that you're able to find is maybe. I mean, you'd have to make a computer's check to try and decipher it. You're more than welcome to do that. You did get it.
Yeah, with a little threat in there.
Indeed, you're able to hot wire it or somehow you're able to slice into
Kinda
it.
like a
Exactly.
6-year-old playing with an
Basically,
iPad.
you're able. Yes, exactly. You're able to get the exact schedule and manifests for all of the fleet cargo transports throughout the sector for the next 6 weeks, basically off this data pad. But then it sort of like freezes, basically, and you don't think you're going to be able to use it anymore.
This thing's a brick.
But you do have that information in the
Right.
data pad. You just don't think you could use the data pad for anything more.
All right, well, let's make this play.
Okay, let's head down and see what we can do.
Indeed. You
How
guys.
should we do this, though? Is it that you're coming down to check my droid? I mean, should I be with you? How
Yeah,
should
you're
we-
with me. You know the key codes, and there's some important information about your ship.
Oh, okay.
That's-
That you need to
we need
get
to
off,
get into
off the droid. Okay.
To do some repairs.
Okay.
All right.
That works. I'll just play the ditzy female pilot.
All right.
You guys are walking up. Tendar, just to let you know, they didn't take any of your gear away. They just sort
sweet.
of put you in there.
Are there visible guards?
Yes.
Invisible guy.
You're there are no visible guards where you are.
Okay.
But you can hear their footsteps, sort of, and you get the sense that there are more than 2, but less than 10. You're not sure. They're somewhere in that amount.
Okay.
You're not exactly sure how many there are. However, for Zal and for KL, you are very sure how many guards there are as you walk in to the detention center. You take a turbo lift here, basically, and it opens up. You walk out. You see the security desk. And again, there are no stormtroopers here whatsoever, but there are a half dozen 6 armed and armored security guards present here, and they sort of look up at you. 2 of them are at the desk, their guns close at hand. Their blaster carbines. The others are already armed, though they're not pointing them at you. And they sort of look up at you guys quizzically and say, what are you doing here?
Hi, I was so hoping you guys could help us.
Oh, come on. Listen, what we need to do here is I have been tasked with repairing their ship, and what is it? There's some sort of code on your droid?
Yes, unfortunately, there's some codes that are on our droid that would allow you to get the information that you need. Unfortunately, I know how to pilot the thing. I just don't know how it runs.
She's wasting my time, I'm telling you right now. Anyhow, did you just bring a droid in here?
They say, yes, the droid has arrived, and I'm going to need you guys to make a deception check. But we're going to wait until next week to do that one.
Oh.
We interrupt our story here, and we'll resume in our next communique. I was one of your players, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho, and on Instagram, I do the board_ghost Instagram. Ken, where can people find you?
Hey, it's me, Ken Breeze. You can find me all over the interwebs, but definitely find me on Twitter at Berlingsbeard, Berlings Beard, and on Twitch. I'm also on Instagram. Check me out. I'm doing some sweet streaming on Twitch of video games and some RPGs, perhaps. So, check me out and say hi. I'd love to see everybody. Oh, also, I have a website as well, my blog. Yay!
All right. Steve, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Steve Moves.
All right. And Stacy, where can people find you?
They can find me at Stadomo on Instagram, STADOMO.
Cool. All right. So you can learn more about our players and the engine in our story by visiting boardghost.com. You can attempt to pierce the veil and contact us at BoardGhostWorld on Twitter. You can shout out through the ether if you have any desires we can fulfill. Leave reviews and comments on iTunes or your preferred listening portal. Also, take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest episodes. You can use your iTunes account or your favorite listening app. We are on most of them. We'd like to thank Pat Couples for our theme song and interlude music. You can find more about Pat at patcouples.tumblr.com or on his band's page, hotelsandhighways.com. If you're not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they are consumed, the truer they become.
Living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop.